Good evening, everyone. This is Ed. I am the curator of rushasaband.com, if you don't know who I am. I just wanted to say hi and hope everyone's having luck with the pre-sales for today. Oh, it's not really luck, is it? It's money. If you have enough money, you can get the tickets. It's a madhouse, but more about that later. Now that people have tickets in hand, it's feeling more real. There's a tour happening. So I've been asked a lot over the last week if I had known anything about this beforehand, and also about the specific Rock Hall event and how that came down and what that was like. So here's how it went down. Last Thursday, a week from yesterday, someone emailed me and said, "Hey, Ed, I have an industry source tells me that Rush is going to announce a tour on Monday." Right? Well, they were right, but at the time I did not believe it. I didn't think the guy was lying, but my first thought was that it's something else. It's like, I don't know, an Envy of None tour, a few dates or something like that, or a Geddy Lee book tour, something like that. And the industry source has just gotten mixed up, right? So that's that. The next day, Friday, Geddy actually does announce a book signing event, coincidentally, at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. So usually when he does that, he'll follow up with more book signings. I'm not sure if that's going to happen this time. But anyways, that kind of led me to believe that that's what was going on. So I didn't think too much of it, and I went about my day. Friday evening, I get a call from one of my local industry sources that tells me, "Hey, are you free Sunday evening? Be free Sunday evening. Make sure you're free." I was like, okay. And that's all I knew. I had no idea what else was going on, because I couldn't say anything else at that time. So the next day, on Saturday, I was working in the yard all day. I came inside and a bunch of messages from this source who told me that here's what was going down. The Rock Hall was hosting this event with Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson. And that's about all he knew. And so I was able to contact some of my Rock Hall sources to get a media pass. So I was in. I didn't know what this thing was, but it really got me excited, because what else could it be? Why would they do this? So I thought it was something big. I was hoping for a tour announcement. I didn't know if that was actually going to happen, but ultimately that's what happened. But so the actual event itself on Sunday, I did not sleep well Saturday night, obviously. Sunday, I was just anticipating this all day. The event started at 7, right? So I got down there about 6:30. Again, I was anxious, so I just got down there. Sat in my car for 15 minutes, and then started to see some other stragglers start to make their way toward the Rock Hall. And the Rock Hall's not open, obviously. It's a Sunday evening. So I got out of my car and I walk up there and to the plaza. And if you're not familiar with the Rock Hall, it's right on the shores of Lake Erie. It was a beautiful evening. So I just kind of sat out there. There's about 50 other people out there. Eventually straggled in. And then close to 7, they started playing music. And they started blasting Rush out on the plaza, which was cool. Kind of get us all psyched up. And then shortly after 7 o'clock, I think, they finally opened the doors. So we all line up, I jump in line and I see a lot of Cleveland media that I hadn't seen in a long time, and wherever. I met them and I talked to them. So it was nice kind of talking to a lot of people in the Cleveland media that I hadn't seen in a while. And they kind of ushered us in the door, went through security, kind of pushed us up to the 4th floor to the theater where this event was going to take place. This event was just billed as a special evening in conversation with Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson, and that's all anyone knew. And they knew Jeff Edgers from the Washington Post was going to be there doing the interview itself. So we go in the theater. I sit down. I'm looking around to see who I knew. And I sat down with a guy I know from Cleveland.com. And we were like in the 4th row. There was a section in the front for VIPs. There was a media row or two, and then there was a row behind us for Q Prime. Q Prime is the management company that Cliff Bernstein founded. And Cliff was there. Cliff Bernstein was sitting right behind me. And then Donna Halper was back there too in the corner. I did not know Donna was going to be there. So I've known Donna for many years. So as soon as I saw her, I got up and I went to say hi to her. I went back to my seat. And at some point, Jason Hanley, who's a VP at the Rock Hall, came out and he kind of welcomed everyone and then introduced the Rock Hall footage that they then showed on the big screen. So that was fun seeing that on the big screen. I don't think I've ever seen it on a big screen, but it was really cool. It was really cool to see Alex's blah blah speech again. And then when that was over, Greg Harris, the Rock Hall president, comes out. He says a few words. He brings out Jeff Edgers, who's going to do the interview. Who, if you're familiar with him, he also was an interviewer at one or two, maybe more than one, of Geddy's My F and Life events, where he did some of those interviews. So then Greg Harris, he introduces Donna. So Donna comes up. Donna, talking to her afterwards, she didn't know anything about this either. She didn't know what it was about. She was just told to introduce the band. So she gives her spiel, tells everyone how, the story of her breaking Rush, which occurred in Cleveland. So it was kind of appropriate in that way. She wore her original WMMS, the Buzzard T-shirt, and that was really cool. It's always cool to see Donna and hear that story, even though I've heard it a million times. And she introduced Geddy and they come out. They have a seat. So Jeff starts the interview. He just, asks some basic questions that come up in interviews all the time. He asks about their friendship, Alex and Geddy, and some road stories. They talked a good bit about Kiss and the bag incident, which all that's in the video. I think the video starts when Greg Harris came out initially to introduce Donna, and then let's see. Then after Jeff asked a few of his own questions, he had a bunch of questions that the audience could write. People in the audience could write, and I didn't write one because I was like, I don't have a question. I just want to know what all this is about. So anyways, they read through a couple questions and Geddy answered it. And then they got to a question about the tour. Will you ever tour again? It's a question that comes up in just about any interview they do these days. It seemed almost like it was planted, but I'm not sure if they had worked it out so that they just knew that someone would ask about it, and then they just wait until that question came up and then answer it. In any case, that's the question that came up, would they ever tour again? And that's when, the video's out there. You can see how Geddy and Al just kind of went back and forth, real coy, kind of teasing us a bit. And then all of a sudden Geddy says, yeah, I think we should tour next year, Al. And I mean, you look around and there were just a bunch of like jaws hitting the floor, looking around, going, wow. It was crazy. It was completely out of the blue, completely out of left field, unexpected. So it was really cool, though. So it goes on to discuss basically the part of the video that's out there. You can watch that, so you kind of know how that went. And he even mentioned Anika at that point, that they were going to bring in the drummer. That he mentioned the keyboardist possibly, and things like that. He mentioned then they mentioned that they were going to start in L.A. and Jeff Edgers was talking about how that's fitting because that's where they ended in the last tour, so they're going to start where they ended. And then after that, once that subject came up of cities and tour dates, everybody in the house was like, okay, are you coming to Cleveland? You're coming to Cleveland. And of course, they say yes. It would have been kind of a bummer had they chose to do this event at the Rock Hall in Cleveland, and they decided not even to come to Cleveland to tour. So yeah, I'm glad they decided to do that. Although it's interesting, they only had one show in Cleveland and two in the others originally, until they doubled everything. But after the event, I was able to briefly talk to Cliff Bernstein and just kind of introduce myself and say hi, and that I appreciate everything he's done, and to sign Rush. I don't even know if he acknowledged who I was or anything. It was kind of cool to see him. Then afterward, they had a little section set up outside the theater where fans could kind of give like a video testimonial or something, just kind of riff about the event and Rush and all that. And some of those I think were included at the end of that video. I chose not to do that just because there was a long line and I didn't have much to say. I was still kind of stunned, in a state of shock. But it was Alan, Geddy's brother, was there. He was kind of doing the filming. There was a film crew, and they did all the filming of the actual event and all that. And that was it. And then, so what else did I leave out? When we came into the theater, I didn't mention much about Q Prime. Q Prime management was there. Cliff Bernstein's company that I mentioned. He was sitting behind me. Q Prime kind of ran the show. Two very nice ladies were there from Q Prime, and they're the ones who kind of took all our phones and made us sign the NDAs. And the NDA was just for, it was just for until 10 o'clock the next day. So I'm cool to talk about it now. So Q Prime is going to be handling their management these days. So I know a lot of people were asking me about, is Ray Daniels involved at all anymore? And I don't think so. I don't know what Ray is doing anymore, but he's probably retired and doesn't want to manage bands anymore. So that's interesting. And I think that's the rundown. That's pretty much it. So yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know how that event went and what I knew and what I didn't know, and kind of, some of the stuff that wasn't in the video or behind the scenes kind of stuff that I saw. So there you have it. Also, while I'm here, and I'm posting this to YouTube. I have a YouTube channel now. I use it mostly for old Rush references in movies and TVs and old interview snippets, just stuff like this, random stuff that I had lying around that I've collected over the years. And I hope to do more original content in the future, but we'll see. Anyways, yeah, go to YouTube and click and subscribe on the Rush is a Band YouTube channel, which you're watching right now. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a good evening.